My college roommate convinced my boyfriend that I was cheating with my study partner. He broke up with me the night before finals, destroying my focus and grades. I failed 3 classes while she celebrated saving him. 2 years later, when he caught her in bed with his best friend, he finally understood manipulation. I'm Emily, 21 years old, female. And if I'm being honest, I still get shaky when I think about what went down 2 years ago. Finals week of sophomore year. What should have been the most stressful but normal hell week of my college life turned into the absolute wrecking ball that reshaped everything. It starts with 2 people, Jake, 21, male, my boyfriend at the time, and Tessa, 20, female, my college roommate. Jake and I had been together since freshman orientation. We bonded over both being out of state, fumbling with campus maps, and the fact that we both hated dining hall chicken. He was sweet, thoughtful in these small, deliberate ways. He'd bring me coffee before my 8 a.m. stats class, hold my hand in the library when I'd spiral about grades. I loved him in that reckless, first serious relationship way. And then there was Tessa, my roommate. At first, she felt like the sister I never had. She was the kind of girl who could walk into a room and have everyone laughing within 5 minutes. She had this messy halo of curls, loud laugh, a closet bursting with clothes she borrowed to me constantly. She was fun, too fun sometimes, but when you're 19, fun is half of friendship. But Tessa had this edge. Like, she thrived on chaos. She loved stirring the pot, gossiping, dropping little grenades into people's lives to watch the fallout. At first, I thought it was harmless. College drama, right? Then I noticed the way she'd make little digs at me around Jake, teasing me about Emily and her little study dates, laughing too hard when my phone buzzed with a text from Mark, 22, male, my study partner in organic chem. Mark was nothing but a friend. He was serious, quiet, kind of nerdy, the kind of guy who color-coded his notes. We clicked because we both needed to pass chem without losing our minds. But Tessa? She'd smirk and say things like, "Wow, you two spend so much time together. Jake must be jealous." At first, Jake would laugh it off, but I saw the way his jaw tightened, and I hated myself for brushing it off. The weeks leading up to finals, the pressure was insane. I was practically living in the library, bouncing between caffeine highs and anxiety spirals. Jake felt distant, shorter texts, no more surprise coffees. Meanwhile, Tessa got clingier with him. She'd plop down next to him on our dorm couch, fake complain about her classes, and I'd walk in to find them laughing together. I told myself I was being paranoid. But the night before my chem final, Jake knocked on my door. I'll never forget the look on his face. Cold, resigned. He said, "I know about you and Mark." I swear my brain short-circuited. I begged him to believe me, to listen. I showed him my texts, literally just problem sets and lab questions. But he wouldn't hear it. He said Tessa told him she'd caught me holding Mark's hand at the library, that I admitted to her I wasn't satisfied in our relationship. Total fiction. None of it happened. And right there, less than 12 hours before my finals, he broke up with me. Said he couldn't stand to be made a fool of. Walked out of my room while Tessa hovered in the doorway, biting back a smile. I didn't sleep, couldn't focus. Failed 3 classes. Meanwhile, Tessa strutted around like she'd done something noble, whispering to anyone who'd listen about how she saved Jake from being cheated on. 2 years later, I still hear her laugh in my head. The morning after Jake dumped me, I sat in the exam hall with my hands shaking so badly I couldn't even fill out the multiple-choice bubbles. Every time I tried to focus, all I could hear was Jake's voice saying, "I know about you and Mark." My head felt stuffed with static. I walked out halfway through my first final. The next few days blurred into the ugliest version of college life I'd ever seen. Rumors spread fast. By the time I made it to my psych exam, people were whispering behind me. I heard one girl say, "She cheated with that chem nerd, can you believe it?" That knife went straight in. And who was feeding it? Tessa. She leaned into her concerned roommate role like it was her Oscar moment. She'd hug Jake in the quad, loudly tell mutual friends she didn't want to be the one to say it, and then spin her little web. And people believed her because she looked so genuine. with those big sad eyes and crocodile tears. Meanwhile, Jake cut me off completely. No texts, no calls. When I tried to explain again, he said, "Don't humiliate yourself more, Emily. Just own it." Like I was some liar finally exposed. That line still makes my chest hurt. My grades tanked. I failed chem, psych, and stats in one semester. Lost my scholarship. My parents were furious. Thought I was partying instead of studying. I couldn't even explain because how do you tell your family, actually, my roommate destroyed my life for fun? Mark, poor Mark, got dragged in too. He stopped sitting with me in lectures after someone carved cheater into his locker door. He avoided me like I was radioactive, and honestly, I didn't blame him. Tessa had managed to torch 2 lives with 1 lie. Here's the part that stung the most. Tessa celebrated. Finals ended, and while I was in my dorm packing my things in tears, she threw herself a "we survived" party in our room. Jake was there. They were shoulder to shoulder, laughing like they hadn't just set fire to everything I cared about. That night, when I tried to sleep, I heard her bragging to a friend on the phone. "He deserves better than Emily. I saved him from wasting years." I wanted to scream. Instead, I cried into my pillow and promised myself I'd never forget that sound in her voice, the smugness. By the end of sophomore year, Jake was officially hers. They walked hand in hand through campus while I was meeting with academic advisors about retaking courses. My self-worth was shot. I couldn't look anyone in the eye. But here's the thing about time. It moves. Slowly, painfully, but it moves. 2 years later, Jake finally learned what kind of person she really was. And the way it happened? I couldn't have written a better script myself. Don't forget to subscribe. The 2 years after that nightmare were survival. I moved off campus junior year because there was no way in hell I could share a roof with Tessa anymore. I scraped together enough from a part-time job at the campus cafe to cover rent in a dingy little apartment with 2 girls I barely knew. It wasn't much, but it was quiet, and quiet was all I wanted. I retook my failed classes, pulled all-nighters, worked double shifts, clawed my way back. My GPA limped, but I wasn't failing anymore. Every time I opened a textbook, I heard Tessa's voice in my head mocking me, and that rage kept me awake. Jake and Tessa? Oh, they became that couple on campus. Constant PDA, matching sweatshirts, TikToks about their perfect relationship. And the worst part, Jake looked happy. He looked like the person I'd been in love with, except now he was laughing with her instead of me. I avoided them like the plague, but they were everywhere. Same quad, same dining hall, same parties I stopped getting invited to. One night, sophomore spring, I saw them together at the library. She was draped across his lap while he studied, whispering in his ear like she owned him. He caught me staring and gave me this cold, cutting look, like I was intruding. I went home that night and ripped every photo of us into pieces. But karma has a way of taking its time. By senior year, cracks started to show. Tessa had always been a flirt, but now people whispered about her being too close with one of Jake's best friends, Ryan, 21 male. They studied together, went to bars without Jake, posted pictures that looked a little too cozy. I dismissed it at first, because honestly, who would believe me after what she pulled? But Jake started noticing too. I'd hear about him storming out of bars after seeing Ryan and Tessa whispering in a corner. My roommate at the time, different girl, thank God, came home one night saying, "I think Tessa's cheating on Jake. She was grinding on Ryan like Jake didn't exist." And here's the twisted part. I didn't feel vindicated yet. I felt this sick mixture of dread and anticipation, like watching a car skid on ice. I knew it was going to crash. Then, one night, it did. Jake showed up at a party unannounced, walked into Ryan's apartment, and found Tessa in his bed. Everything snapped. Jake didn't tell me the details directly. I heard them later through people who were actually there that night. It was supposed to be a casual hangout at Ryan's apartment. Beer, music, nothing huge. Jake finished a late shift at his campus job and decided to swing by unannounced. When he opened Ryan's bedroom door, he didn't just catch them kissing or flirting. He caught Tessa naked in Ryan's bed. Witnesses said Jake went dead quiet at first. Just stood there in the doorway, staring. Ryan scrambled for clothes. Tessa started screaming, "It's not what it looks like," over and over, like that was going to work when he was literally watching her pull on her shirt. Jake lost it. He punched the doorframe so hard his knuckles split, threw Ryan's desk chair across the room. People at the party said it was chaos. Beer spilling, girls screaming, Ryan trying to talk while Jake lunged at him. It took two guys to drag Jake out before he really hurt someone. And here's the kicker. Tessa chased him into the hallway barefoot, sobbing, clawing at his arm, saying, "I only did it because you've been so distant." The same girl who once claimed to have saved him from me was suddenly on her knees begging in front of half the building. By the next morning, the whole campus knew. The girl who spent 2 years calling me a cheater had been exposed as the actual one. Her carefully crafted perfect girlfriend image shattered overnight. Jake moved out of their shared off-campus place within 48 hours. He stopped answering her calls, blocked her on everything. And for the first time in 2 years, I didn't feel crazy. Because finally, everyone else saw who Tessa really was. But here's where it got even more twisted. A week later, Jake showed up at the cafe where I worked. He waited until my shift ended, and then he said the words I'd been secretly wishing for but also dreading. "Emily, I know now. I know you never cheated." I should have felt relief. Closure. But standing there with him looking broken, I realized it wasn't that simple. He wanted to talk, to apologize, to maybe start over. And part of me wanted revenge. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow, I didn't expect so many people to care about my messy college soap opera, but reading through the comments has been weirdly healing. Some of y'all made me laugh harder than I have in months. Someone said, "Tessa sounds like the type of girl who'd steal your fries and then accuse you of starving her." Accurate. Anyway, here's where things are now. Jake caught Tessa cheating with his best friend. Yes, it was that dramatic. Screaming, broken furniture, people recording on their phones. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but everyone on campus did, and the story spread like wildfire. For 2 years, I was the cheater. Overnight, that label slid right off me and landed squarely where it belonged, on her. And then, Jake came back. He showed up at my job, waited until I clocked out. Said, "Emily, I know now. I know you never cheated. I'm sorry I didn't believe you." He looked destroyed. Like 2 years of blind faith in the wrong person had finally caught up to him. And here's the part that shocked me. I didn't feel the rush of validation I thought I would. I felt cold. Because while he was finally realizing the truth, I'd already lost so much. My GPA, my scholarship, my reputation, my peace of mind. I lived 2 years in the shadow of a lie while he laughed with her. And only now, when she humiliated him in the worst way possible, does he see it. Some of you commented, "Don't take him back. Don't be his consolation prize." Trust me, I hear you. And you're right. I don't want him back. But I also don't want to just shrug this off and move on. I want him and Tessa to feel, even for a second, what it felt like to be me. So when Jake asked if we could talk more, I said yes. Not because I'm planning to forgive, but because I've got an idea. Call it petty, call it revenge, call it closure. But after 2 years of silence, I finally get to write the ending. And I promise, it's going to be sweet. When Jake asked if we could meet up to talk things through, I agreed. Not because I wanted him back, but because the idea of sitting across from him and holding all the power for once was intoxicating. We met at a quiet diner off campus. He looked rough, dark circles, unshaven, hands bandaged from punching Ryan's doorframe. For the first time since we'd met, he didn't look like the confident, easygoing guy I fell for freshman year. He looked wrecked. He started talking before the coffee even hit the table. Said he couldn't believe he'd been so blind. That Tessa had manipulated him from the start. That he replayed every conversation, every warning she gave him about me, and realized it was all projection. I let him talk. I didn't interrupt. I just watched him squirm. Then he said the line I'd been waiting for. "Emily, I should have trusted you. I should have believed you instead of her. I ruined us." I could have told him about the nights I cried myself to sleep while he was wrapped up with her, about the 3 classes I failed because I couldn't stop shaking in the exam hall, about how Mark's reputation got torched too, all because Jake swallowed Tessa's poison without a second thought. But instead, I smiled. Soft, almost forgiving. I told him, "We can't just pick up where we left off. Trust doesn't work like that." And here's where my plan started. I suggested we take it slow. Just friends, just hanging out again. He agreed instantly, almost too eagerly. He looked relieved, like he'd been handed a lifeline. Meanwhile, Tessa was unraveling. Word on campus was she'd shown up outside Jake's apartment more than once, pounding on the door, crying so loudly neighbors threatened to call the cops. She DM'd me too, pages of nonsense swinging between, "You stole him from me," and "Please tell him I love him." I left her on red. Jake and I started spending time together again, studying, grabbing coffee, walking home from class. Nothing romantic. But I made sure people saw us. I made sure Tessa saw us. And it drove her insane. One night, she cornered me outside the library. Eyes red, mascara smeared, voice cracking. She hissed, "You think you've won? He'll come back to me. He always does." I leaned in close enough for her to smell my coffee breath and said, "Funny, that's exactly what I thought 2 years ago." Then I walked away. The best part? I wasn't lying. I didn't want him back. But she didn't know that. He didn't know that. And the longer I played along, the sweeter the setup became. Because the real revenge wasn't just about Jake realizing what he lost. It was about Tessa losing what she thought she'd stolen forever. Tessa didn't take my silence well. The more I ignored her, the more unhinged she became. First, it was texts, then calls. Then she started showing up in places she knew I'd be. Cafeteria, the cafe where I worked, even outside one of my lectures. Every time she'd make a scene, crying, yelling, accusing me of stealing Jake, people stopped buying her victim act real fast. The girl who once saved Jake from me now looked like a stalker. Meanwhile, I kept playing my part with Jake. We weren't dating. We weren't even holding hands. But I let him orbit me again. Invited him to sit with me at the library. Walked with him through campus. I didn't have to do much. Just existing next to him was enough to light Tessa on fire. The perfect opportunity for revenge came 2 weeks later. Our mutual friend group, the one Tessa had poisoned against me 2 years ago, planned a graduation send-off dinner. Big crowd. Everyone who'd once whispered that I cheated would be there, and I knew Tessa wouldn't be able to resist showing up. Sure enough, she did. Walked in late, dressed like she was heading to a nightclub, scanning the room until her eyes landed on me sitting beside Jake. The air went electric. Halfway through dinner, she snapped. She stood up, slammed her glass down, and started yelling across the table. "Are you serious, Jake? After everything? You're back with her, the liar, the cheater?" The entire restaurant went dead quiet. Every head turned. Jake stood, his face stone cold, and said it loud enough for the whole room to hear. "She never cheated, Tessa. You did. With Ryan. In his bed. I was an idiot for believing you over her." You could feel the shift in the room. People who once avoided my eye contact were suddenly staring at Tessa like she was radioactive. Phones came out. A couple of people even recorded. And I didn't say a word. I just sat there, calm, watching her unravel in front of the very audience she used to perform for. Tessa tried to cry to spin it, but no one was buying it anymore. She grabbed her purse, knocked over a chair, and stormed out while the whole room buzzed with whispers. That was it. 2 years of humiliation finally reversed in one night. And the best part? I didn't have to scream, fight, or beg anyone to believe me. The truth destroyed her louder than I ever could. Update 2. So, remember how I said I had a plan to make both Jake and Tessa feel what I felt? Yeah, that dinner was the moment. Y'all, it was brutal. And satisfying. Tessa stormed into the graduation dinner like she was about to reclaim her crown. Within 20 minutes, she was screaming across the table at Jake about me being a cheater. I swear the entire restaurant froze. And then Jake, loud enough for everyone to hear, said, She never cheated, Tessa. You did. With Ryan. In his bed. The silence after that? Chef's kiss. Half the people in that room were the same ones who whispered behind my back 2 years ago. They saw the truth play out right in front of them. And the cherry on top, at least 3 phones were recording. By the time I got home, clips of Tessa's meltdown were already floating around group chats. Someone sent me a Snapchat story captioned, "Karma in 4K." The fallout has been wild. Tessa's reputation tanked overnight. Her social media went private within 24 hours. Ryan moved out of state for a job, leaving her completely alone. People who used to defend her don't even say her name anymore. They just roll their eyes. And Jake? He's been texting me nonstop, apologizing, saying he wants to make things right. Some of you warned me about this, and you were dead right. He wants comfort, but I'm not his safety net. He destroyed me when he chose to believe a lie over me, and no amount of regret is going to rewind those 2 years. I'll admit, it felt good. Sitting there, calm, while Tessa burned herself down in front of everyone. For once, I didn't have to scream or beg to be believed. The truth stood on its own. So where does that leave me? Honestly, free. I'm graduating. I'm done with both of them. And maybe that's the sweetest revenge of all. Walking away while they're left with the wreckage they created. And to the commenter who said I should have thrown a drink in Tessa's face, tempting. But trust me, the humiliation she served herself tasted better than anything I could have done. After the dinner, Tessa disappeared from campus life almost overnight. No more loud entrances, no more smirks in the hallways. She became a ghost. And honestly, that silence was louder than all the rumors she used to spread. But Jake didn't vanish. If anything, he doubled down. He started showing up everywhere I went. Outside my last class of the semester. At the cafe after my shifts. Once, even outside my apartment building, waiting in his car like some tragic movie character. Every time it was the same routine. Apologies, pleading, telling me he realized I was the only one who'd ever really cared about him. That he threw away the best thing he ever had. One night, he cornered me after class, blocking the doorway until I talked to him. His eyes were bloodshot, his voice low and raw. "Please, Emily, just give me one more chance. We can rebuild." And for a split second, I saw the boy I fell in love with freshman year. The boy who made me laugh when I got lost on the first day of orientation. The boy who used to leave notes in my textbooks before exams. But then reality hit me. That boy hadn't believed me when it mattered most. That boy let me drown in lies and rumors while he stood on the shore holding someone else's hand. So I looked him in the eye and said, "You didn't just lose me, Jake. You helped her destroy me, and I'll never let you do that again." He froze, like he couldn't process that I wasn't bending. Then his desperation turned messy. He punched the brick wall beside us hard enough to leave a dent in his knuckles, shouting, "You don't understand how much I hate myself for believing her." People stared. A professor even stepped out of his office to see what the noise was. I walked away while Jake stood there clutching his bleeding hand, shaking. That was the last time I spoke to him. Because the truth was clear now. Jake wasn't looking for love or forgiveness. He was looking for someone to clean up the mess Tessa left him in, and I wasn't going to be his mop. Graduation came quicker than I expected. Walking across that stage, hearing my name called after everything I'd been through, it hit harder than I thought it would. My GPA wasn't perfect, my path wasn't clean, but I made it. I survived what Tessa and Jake threw at me. And in that moment, cap and gown and all, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Free. After the ceremony, my friends and I went to celebrate. That's when I saw them one last time. Jake was standing off to the side of the campus fountain, hand still bandaged, suit wrinkled, staring at me like he wanted to say something but couldn't. Tessa was nowhere near him. Word had gotten around that she'd officially dropped out. Too embarrassed, too burned. He caught my eye, lifted a hand like he was about to walk over. But then I did something I'd been dreaming about since the night he shattered me before finals. I turned my back. No words, no forgiveness, no second chances, just silence. That was the real revenge. Not screaming, not exposing him, not even humiliating Tessa. It was showing them that after all the chaos, I was the one who walked away intact. They had destroyed each other. I rebuilt myself. Later that night, I boxed up the last remnants of that chapter. Old photos, a hoodie Jake had given me, a few random notes that somehow survived my purges, and I tossed them into the dumpster behind my apartment. Watching that cardboard box disappear into the trash felt like cutting the final string holding me to them. 2 years ago, I was the girl sobbing into a pillow while my roommate celebrated stealing my boyfriend. Now, I'm the girl who got her life back, and if they ever think about me, and I know they will, I hope the memory stings. Because I didn't just move on. I won.